Hello, welcome. In this current day and age, we have access to so much information, and there's just so much out there for you to learn and to continuously invest in yourself and invest in your knowledge. However, very few adults read a book or two per year. Children and kids aren't reading. Their attention span is so warped because these social media companies are designed to hook your attention, and these young kids with developing brains, I mean, when your attention span is so low, you don't have the focus to sit through books, to sit through meditation, to be in the present moment. And I think that's why there's so much increase in anxiety, stress, depression, and all of these reasons. And also, self-education is something that I deeply, deeply value and prioritize in my life. It's the most important thing in my life, and I consider myself a lifelong student. And these are just things that I'm doing for the rest of my life, to continuously learn and grow. And I do want to say something really, really important. I find the smartest and most intelligent human beings are those that are constantly allowing themselves to be subject of change, and they don't identify with a certain position or anything in life. Obviously, you have your morals, you have your standards, you're a good human being, but you're not identifying with honestly anything, because you're always learning and growing, and there's so much that you don't know. And my favorite thing, I mentioned this like a lot in my channel, but it's what you don't know, you don't know, right? Like, there are things that I don't know that I don't know. So I'm very humble, and I'm aware of that, and I try my best to remind myself that whenever I feel like, oh, I know so much. No, you don't. You don't know so much, because there's so much that you don't even know exists. But so, without further ado, I have a little book here. Here are things that I do to educate myself and to constantly again, increase knowledge and to have a sharp mind. First thing I want to do is start off with one of my favorite people in terms of someone that I find truly well educated and also very intellectual, is Naval Ravikant. I talk about him a lot in previous videos and stuff that I've made, but this book right here, I mentioned it before, but if you are any age, I would say get your hands on this book. This is the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, and I literally have it kind of looks a little gross, but I read this book. It's always with me. I'm constantly flipping through it. It's literally my Bible, okay? And obviously though, okay, I don't take everything he says and just absorb it. I think it's important to have discernment again and you know, see what applies, see what sticks, but I truly believe that this is such a timeless book. I think even hundreds of years into the future, maybe not hundreds, but even many, many years into the future, this book is applicable. And basically, this is not written by Naval, it's actually written by Eric Jorgensen. I think I pronounced that right. And it's basically all tweets and words. If you don't know who Naval Ravikant is, he's essentially an entrepreneur. He is like this modern day philosopher, and he's a founder, he's an investor, and he's very intelligent. If you go on YouTube, you can find different podcasts. If you go on X, you can see what he writes. And what I really like about him is the way he's able to take all these complex ideologies and take all of these complex things in terms of microeconomics, macroeconomics, game theory, and philosophical things, and he extrapolates them and shares them in a way where the average person can understand. And I truly believe that's a great telltale sign of intelligence, is when you're able to explain a very complex thing to like a kid or to anyone in general, and explain it in a way where they can understand it themselves, and you don't have to use these extreme vocabulary words. And he's also very concise with his words and how he explains himself and all of that. So yeah, I don't know if I gave a bit thorough introduction, but he just really is all about creating long-term happiness. He talks about building wealth. In this book, I mean, this isn't his book, but he talks about it, and there are tweets and stuff, and there's basically 3 parts to it, and it covers wealth, happiness, and I believe the last part is wealth, happiness, and mainly just wealth and happiness, which I think are 2 main things that we all want. We all want to be wealthy, and we all want to be happy. So yes, and from that, there's also this website that this author created, and there are a list of mental models and building judgment and learning how to think and knowing, you know, what to kind of apply and think, and you know, what to do with your thoughts in a way is really, really important. So having and building judgment is really, really important, and that's what he talks about. So these mental models and these topics that he talks about macroeconomics, he talks about learning game theory, he talks about arithmetic, and he says really understanding the basics of a lot of these subjects and topics is really, really important. So that's what I've been doing. I've been studying macroeconomics. I do arithmetic every single day, and yeah, so in terms of knowledge and wisdom and philosophy, I really, really like leaning into his work, but I also do a lot of other things. So there's this one Professor Jiang, Professor Jiang. He is incredible. He is so incredible, and you'll understand what I mean when I'm saying he's incredible, because if you go on YouTube, his account is called Predictive History, and he is basically a high school teacher in China, and his class right now that he's teaching is kind of on these topics that were taught, and he gives you a different way of thinking and a different way of viewing these certain topics, because a lot of the things that we learn about are very biased. I live in America, so the history that we learn is from the American perspective, but this professor gives it to you straight up how it is. There's no BS. It's just, this is it. Like it or not, this is it. This is how it really works, based on what he knows in his perspective, and he does give you evidence and everything, and it's great for you to, again, question things, question what was taught, and get another different perspective. And I think perspectives really are what make you a more intellectual person, when you're able to view different perspectives and have that emotional intelligence. And along with him, I love Brian Tracy. I love watching his videos. He really helps you in terms of understanding, you know, how to think, you know, positive thoughts, good thoughts, and truly when it comes to this phrase, your thoughts create your reality, by Dr. Joe Dispenza, I truly firmly believe in that. So it's really important to be aware of your thoughts. And along with that, I love Dan Coe. He actually, I watched his videos for a while, and he was the one who would mention Naval in his videos, and that's how I got into Naval. But Dan Coe is really, really great, because he, again, teaches you, he really challenges your beliefs, and I think that's the really most important part, is learning things and reading things that challenge your beliefs. Last and final thing is, of course, on the womb as a woman. I've been doing womb meditation a lot, understanding cycle syncing, understanding what different phases of your cycle are, understanding the importance of sleep, and just all of these personal development things as well. I think that's like it, when you're into personal development and you're into understanding more of who you are as a person and how you can amplify different areas in your life, that's going to make you a lifelong learner, because the older you get and the more you're very invested into these certain topics, you're going to end up really understanding more about yourself, and you know, you're going to really realize, like, the more you know, the less you know. Now, I want to talk about the importance of reading. I truly and firmly believe that the only reason I'm here now, and with the knowledge that I have, is honestly because of books and reading. I'm so lucky and grateful that from a young age, I got into reading, and I remember reading Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, Dork Diaries, all these fun fiction books. And I'm glad that going through school, it didn't dim down my love for reading, and I read as much as I can whenever I can. Again, I love reading this book. what other books are there? I mean, there are many other books. I'm currently reading also Beginning of Infinity, and it's a very complex book because the author Deutsch talks about pretty much so many subset areas of science like evolution, astronomy, and he kind of like sums it up into how we are actually entering the beginning of infinity, and how like us humans are just going to get more intelligent. Naval said to reread the 3 chapters of the book, the first 3 chapters, over and over again. So I'm currently on that, climb to read the first 3 chapters and then reread them. And I mean, there's so many great books. Millionaire, Fastlane. Ali Abdallah actually was talking about that book and how it changed his life, I guess, in a way. And for me, it was the same thing. I read that book and I never looked at everything I did the same again, because it really opens your mind and expands your mind, which is why I love books, because it expands your mind. Again, it challenges your beliefs, it expands your mind, and it makes you question things, think about things, and choose and apply beliefs for yourself. And that's really important. I think as well, I don't know if I'd incorporate this in self-education, but having puzzles, having mind games, doing things like arithmetic. Again, like I'm trying to solve the Rubik's Cube and get under a minute, and right now I'm on the beginner formula, or like the beginner algorithm for this. But it's just having things that you're doing on a daily basis to sharpen your mind and expand your mind, because I think a lot of people, they go and get educated, they get degrees and stuff, but after that you don't stop learning, right? You continuously learn and grow and make sure you're understanding the basics of evolution, psychology, microeconomics, game theory, arithmetic, biology, chemistry, physics. Physics is really important. So there's so many of these topics that I think I myself have a lot of knowledge gaps in, so I'm trying to fill them in, and it's okay to start with basics. It's okay to relearn how to do multiplication, or relearn how to do these certain things, relearn calculus. And I think also, like, once you practice and apply do these things on your own time, in your free time, it's so much more fun than school, because you're actually doing it on your own time. You get to choose how you can, who to listen to. You get to choose when you want to learn, and on top of that, I forgot to mention languages as well. I'm trying to be fluent in multiple languages. I'm currently fluent in 2, Nepalese and English, and I'm trying to be fluent in Hindi. Actually, in Nepali though, I can't write or read, but I can speak. So I don't know if that's fluent. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, I don't know. But yeah, and I think, again, being bilingual, being trilingual expands your mind, and it makes more intelligent. And I do want to mention though, the doom scrolling and short term and dopamine, okay, and the fact that it's such a struggle and it's such a battle. Even for me, I've tried to do a lot of these little hacks, and I've tried to do so many of these little things to stop myself, but I think it's still a battle, and I can understand why so many people are just stuck and hooked on these apps. And I think the biggest thing is honestly just continuously pushing and continuously saying no and Xing out of these apps, and being aware and being intentional, and ensuring that you're intentional. And so when you're not going to just randomly get on these apps. You're going to do something else to further your knowledge and to learn more. So yeah, that really hampers your ability to focus and maybe finish a book, or maybe start a business, or start a project, or start something and not be able to finish it because you just cannot sit for a sustained period of time with full focus. So there's that. So those are the basic things. Not the basic things, but those are some of the things that I'm incorporating in my life, and it's great and it's fun and it's something I really enjoy. And when you're constantly expanding your mind and you're constantly trying to integrate these things to again become more knowledgeable and to learn more about the world and about yourself, I think that's truly how you become like this best version of yourself, because you're constantly learning, you're always subject to change, and it's all about just staying curious and asking the whys and asking questions. So this applies to men, women, anyone, any genders, all genders. Just continue questioning things, continue asking your whys, continue integrating and learning new things in your life, and honestly truly pursue those passions, whatever they are, whatever things that you're passionate about, go learn more about it. Yeah, right? Like I love fashion and I love clothing and fashion. I love beauty, and learning for me is like understanding what types of, you know, like designers I want to purchase from in the future, you know, what kind of qualities of clothing do they like, what fabric do they use, you know. And so that's also, again, like that's still, you're still going into certain depth in terms of like maybe looking at articles, doing some research in designers. And so it's just kind of that kind of thing. Like you have to make it fun for yourself. I like to sometimes light candles when I'm working, play some jazz music in the background. Make it fun. Make it something that's something that you can do for the long term instead of feeling feeling pressured or forced to do so. So yeah, I think just practicing these things, prioritizing these things. Again, I would really start with reading this book, and then I would start with, you know, working on affirmations, mindset things. Dan Coe is excellent. Naval Ravikant is excellent. Predictive History, watch his videos on his channel to question your beliefs. Journaling, I forgot to mention that, but journaling, meditation, and I know that's like still, that's kind of in like a broader category, but again, I think it's still in self-education because you're still learning about the mind and learning about yourself. But yeah, I can make a morning routine video. I do this every single day, and I've started journaling actually for 2-3 weeks every single day consistently, and this has probably never happened in my life before because I always skip a day or two or maybe a month or a year. But doing this every single day honestly has just, I feel like having that routine, and something I've noticed, side note, but like these small things that you do add up exponentially in life, okay? Nothing is neutral. You're either elevating or you're not, right? You're either progressing, you're becoming this higher version of yourself, you're becoming, and you're getting closer to your dreams and goals, or you're not. It's not neutral. So like if you just, you know, think that, okay, well, this doesn't really affect me. No, it's not. It's dragging you down. So you want to make sure you're intentional and you're choosing things that truly elevate you and bring you closer to your goals. And that's something I have to remind, and this is something you honestly have to remind yourself. Like you have to force it into your brain and just think about it over and over again. Like nothing is neutral. And how can I elevate myself? How can I elevate myself? Does this elevate me? I realize like I have phases in life where I just think about stuff like this, and then I'm productive and I'm great, and then I forget, as we all do. It's normal, but you just have to reassert and re-push this to yourself. Put a sticky note somewhere, put reminders, and remind yourself, like, is this elevating me or is this not? And if it's not, and if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying it, if it's not bringing you anything productive or great or fun, like you don't always have to be productive. Again, like if it's bringing you more stress and bringing you if it's not anything that you enjoy doing truly, then bye, exit, right? And you want to make sure you're doing things that truly you feel good doing and that are elevating your life. And that's, again, that's a category in self-education. And I think all of this also ties into self-development, because I think that's the best form of education that you can have, is to just develop yourself as a person, which I've been on for a year or so, and it's probably the best thing I've ever done in my life. So yeah, that's all I have for this one. Continue growing, continue learning, ask the whys, and you'll get so much closer to whatever it is that you desire in your life, and you're constantly investing in yourself. So yeah, bye. Love you.